Welcome back to Scoundrels Inc., another Star Wars podcast. I am Frank Janish alongside Kevin, the Smasher Smets, and Brandon Hollywood Hannah. I think it's gonna stick, Kevin. I think it's gonna stick.
You're trying to make something stick, huh? Like fetch. That's so fetch.
No, I didn't.
Fetch
Kevin, welcome back. Welcome back.
Is that a background that you downloaded called Generic Hotel Room?
Yes, that's exactly correct, Kevin. I am.
Never trust a guy who blurs his background. So, Brandon, I don't know what's going on back there, but I've always said never trust a guy who blurs his background.
I've never once heard him say that.
How do I sound? First of all, I sound great, right?
Yeah, you sound like as you usually do.
All right, can you hear me? Is it better? Or do I need to take this out and install it still?
I mean, yeah, you do.
All right, so I got the visuals good, but still not the audio.
It's one Lego brick at a time with you, Kevin.
I want to welcome all of our new fans from across the world, including Estonia, Uganda, and everywhere else.
Shout out to Richard Eric Jarvie from Estonia. How's it going?
There you go.
Hey, there you go.
Future friend of the show.
That's an inside joke, but one day I think we'll have a laugh about it and we'll talk about it. But
yeah.
It's the only reason I even know what Estonia is.
Anyways.
I have a heart out, and just to prove that I have a heart out, I didn't plug this camera in, so we got about 45 minutes.
Okay, we're on the clock. We're all on the clock, really. Well, most of us are on the clock. So this week, we'll be getting into. We're gonna go soundtracks. We're gonna talk about soundtracks of the Star Wars live action movies. I assume not the Clone Wars movie. Kevin, was it
all the movies, and do it in release order.
Release. You want to do the Clone Wars? You want to include the Clone Wars movie?
The Clone Wars. We need someone to be on the very bottom, and
it's true.
Wow.
It's true.
A disrespect to Kevin Kiner.
Kevin Kiner's great.
I think his game has improved tremendously over the years. But before we hop into all of that, hit subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Click the like button. Leave a comment down below. Tell us how much you like us or hate us. It all works the same in the algorithm. And but seriously, before we jump into everything, this past week we did learn the passing of the great, the legend that is Carl Weathers, and a surprise shock to the entire community, the world at large, seemingly, if you go on social media. Just an absolute gem of a human being. I remember seeing him at Star Wars Celebrations and just his enthusiasm with the crowd and the way he would communicate. Really infectious person. Really, really sad to bear his loss this year, and really, really unfortunate, guys.
Yeah, no, it was super unexpected. Just because I know he was on the older side, but he was really fit, and he was very mentally sharp, and directing episodes, acting, he was still doing all the stuff. So it's just it's unfortunate, and I feel lucky that I got to see him in person when I went to the Mandalorian season 3 premiere. So that was cool. He's one of the best.
Yeah, man. I think that when it's like losing Ray Stevenson. He's such a fan. I remember one of the behind the scenes, it showed Carl Weathers, and he was giddy. And I remember him looking at the camera, doing something where he's like, I get to do this. I'm on a Star Wars set. And that's just a second person that's in it for the love. I mean, I'm not saying there's some people that are in it just for the paycheck, but you could tell the ones that were passionate about being in it and, fans from the beginning and stuff like that. And Carl was definitely one of them. So, and, to talk about his other roles, the iconic roles in Predator and obviously the Rocky franchise, he embodied that Muhammad Ali style, showboating boxer that was so great. So yeah. And then of course his comedic roles too, in Arrested Development and in Happy Gilmore. So I saw someone post the clip of him in heaven playing the piano. That song, I forget the song.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, he's up there. He's in a better place than you and I, that's for sure. But he will be missed. Especially, it's tough to lose another one in the Star Wars family that was so gung ho about it. And I wonder what they do moving forward with the character. I hope they just kind of give him the send off he deserves. Kind of like what they did with Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther. I thought was good. But yeah,
it'll be in that regard, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But again, just to reiterate, what a tremendous loss again for not just the Star Wars community, but the world at large. Seemingly, just a beacon of light, especially when we got to see him interact with the Star Wars community, and very, very tough, very, very tough. And my heart goes out to this family and friends and everyone who knew him, because it just seemed like one of those people you would love to have in your life. But now we're gonna
a really great guy.
Yeah.
Like outside of like Star Wars and acting and stuff, like the things that I've read about him on Twitter in the recent days, is just nothing but like he was like a really awesome person.
Hashtag be peace.
And he makes great stew. So
great. Yes, Arrested Development reference right there. Oh man, baby, you got yourself a stew. All right. As we transition into what we're going to talk about today on the show, also, hey, we have a podcast feed as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go over there and subscribe to the podcast feed if you haven't already. Apparently, also YouTube has like YouTube Music. You can get podcasts on there. We're on there if you subscribe to that kind of thing. So you can find us pretty much anywhere and everywhere. But now let's get into the soundtracks. Kevin says let's do it in a release order. So based on Kevin's track record, though, A New Hope is going to stay at number 1 because he's the first to do it, and nothing can top it. Everything comes else after that. Isn't that right, Brandon? Isn't that his MO?
Yeah, well, I mean, but this one I feel like is tricky. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it win the Oscar for best score, or was it just nominated? A New Hope. Do either of you guys?
I'm sure it was nominated. I can't recall if it won. Kevin would probably know that
because I remember.
I'm retired.
Because I remember the controversy of the special editions. Like George Lucas kind of like chopped things up and shifted some parts around, and there's controversy because it's like that was like an Oscar either winning or nominated score, and he was just like messing with it in the special editions. So are we going special editions, like the canon versions, or
just the album? I mean, don't worry about it. don't have a brain aneurysm about it. I think just overall album collection, what themes are introduced. I think that's what we would go with.
Okay.
John Williams did win an Oscar for A New Hope.
There you go.
So that's according to this quick Google search I did. Legendary composer Williams is well known for scoring all 8 of the Star Wars saga films to date.
How old is that article from?
Yeah,
way to stay up on times here at Scoundrel.
Beginning with regardless, beginning with 1977's. Yeah, this podcast is taking place in 2018. Sorry, guys. Beginning with 1977's Star Wars: A New Hope, for which he earned an Academy Award for Best Original Score. So, despite the the untimeliness of that quick Google search, the information we were looking for was indeed accurate. Well, I hope so.
If only we could go back to 2018, because I hadn't fully developed my gluten allergy yet.
That would be something, huh? What isn't it? Okay, so we're gonna put a pin at number 1 for A New Hope, and then we're gonna go to. I just want to talk about kind of the soundtrack a little bit, because we got a lot. We got Binary Sunset. You got, obviously the original, opening theme of Star Wars. Kevin, what are some tracks that stick out to you that are gonna? I'm assuming this one for all of us is gonna be pretty high in the ranking when it's all said and done.
That's the funny thing.
Really? Okay.
So it established the main theme, but musically for me, like when I pop music in, or when I would use a lot of this, so I didn't revisit any of these. Even when I suggested it, I didn't do any homework, because I was like,
we never do homework on the show. What are you talking about?
Sometimes. I wanted to get that vibe, just my gut instinct, because that helped. And a lot of it was like, what music did I use a lot in KOTOR? Because I would repurpose Star Wars music all the time from KOTOR. And while I did some from A New Hope, like A New Hope to me, like it feel like if you listen to the Superman soundtrack, it sounds very similar. It's like that late 70s John Williams sound. A lot of brass, a lot of trumpets and stuff like that. And you could literally sneak tracks, not the Superman theme, but little pieces of regular underscore music, and you could tell someone, oh, that's from Superman or Star Wars, and they would say the same thing. So while I like that, to me, like, I think later tracks that John Williams composed and created, to me, are what I'm listening to more on runs, or what I incorporated more in my KOTOR movies. So whereas like for the opening shot and a lot of the things where I was like, no, it established it. It's the first time ever like where I would set that, like, that's why it's got to be number one or at least number two, because like it was the first original person to do it. For the soundtracks, like the Star Wars theme is in all of the soundtracks, basically.
True.
So like that doesn't give it an advantage. So I'm taking it more or less with the music, breaking down the music. So you're gonna find I'm gonna put this one's not very high because I don't like put it in, but like, you know, some of the bangers obviously is like the TIE fighter chase sequence. Dun, 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 which is also in other scores too. So repurposed. The main Star Wars theme is obviously fantastic. It's interesting that like really Obi-Wan was never given a theme, although a lot of people used to confuse back then like that the Force theme was his theme.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of late motifs is what they call it weren't that popular or famous yet in cinema. So like this is why it should kind of go up high, because it is establishing a lot of like themes, and like when the princess comes up you hear the princess theme and stuff like that. So princess theme, the main Star Wars theme, even the deserty themes with the Jawa's theme and stuff like that, and even the drums of the Tuscans, like, which tons of it. I just think that as far as melodies and songs and as in an album sense, there's a lot more that just to me move me more musically. So that's why I don't know how high it will be. But again, these are all like all of these soundtracks are great. Like even The Last Place is still like a good soundtrack. So like this is one of those tough ones where it's like they're all great. Even when someone doesn't like a movie like The Phantom Menace, everybody agreed that The Phantom Menace had such a great soundtrack. So that's why this will be, just so you know, when we're ranking some of these lower, they're still really great soundtracks.
I mean, for God's sakes, we're talking about John Williams. Like, there's really no degrading his work in a list 1 through 12. That's just not going to be the case. It's more about preference, because they all have something great or a lot of great in each of these soundtracks. You know, for me, I think a lot about what you're talking about, especially, you know, the Death Star trench run, all of that whole sequence when it starts off, and even in the Death Star, you know, crossing the chasm with Luke and Leia, you know, that like just it really harkens back to the Flash Gordon, the, you know, those type of serials, and the music that was kind of makes those scenes more epic than just, you know, I mean, if you turn off the sound and you just watch Luke and Leia swing across the chasm, it's not really anything super spectacular, not like stunt wise. But the music, I think, elevates the moment, and that's through John Williams' work. And I think a lot of people know that the music, a lot of people have said that the music is what really, aside from Marshall Lucas helping with the edit, the music also helped the movie, saved the movie tremendously. It just he gave Star Wars, it is the foundational piece that gives Star Wars its atmosphere, its feel, and it's timeless. But as Kevin says, we go on, there's some, John Williams only gets better from here, I think. And so right now it's going to by default stay at number 1. So let's move to The Empire Strikes Back. And Kevin, I mean, is the soundtrack as good as the movie?
So yeah, this is where like I'm really relying on you to like, we're just going to each movie and then is it above this or below this?
Yeah.
Like I still don't know where we're going to end up in a final tally of this, but Empire is way up there for me. The Yoda theme, again, it still has a Star Wars theme, so I'm not going to rehash that. Anything that reappears, like, you know, it's all there. But you have the Imperial March, you have Yoda's theme, you have the Han and Leia theme, the love theme. Like those are 3 of like, to me, like some of my favorite pieces of music. Like Goosebumps, dude. Look at that.
Yeah.
High def too. You can
Look
see
at
it. And like ouchie there.
High def bumps. Yeah.
I just said ouchie, just so you know.
You have a kid. You certainly have a kid.
But
you have an ouchie. Yeah.
Empire, like even like the underscore of stuff, like the asteroid chase.
Yes.
Dun, 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 like that soundtrack, it's going to be tough to beat. That goes number 1 for me, absolutely. I just remember my love of Star Wars got reignited because of the soundtracks being re-released, and so I hadn't thought about Star Wars in years, and the special editions were about a year or 2 away, and they came out with this like box set of like this black soundtrack set. and then I had Star Wars chess, and I just was like, oh, I'll play Star
my
Wars
gosh,
chess. And
yeah.
every time you move Yoda, it would have real quick this dun 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 dun, and I was like, oh my god, I fucking remember Yoda's theme. Like, and so then I got the soundtracks, and then from there was when I just took off. And so it's literally Yoda's theme, Star Wars chess, and the soundtrack release right before the special editions that completely relaunched my Star Wars fandom. That's why I'm excited about this episode, and why Empire Strikes Back for me is number one for now.
Yeah. Brandon, what say you? Where do you?
I agree with all those points. I put Empire number one. I was gonna say, like, I totally even forgot about Han and Leia's theme, and this was the beginning of the Imperial March. But yeah, the Yoda theme alone, the lifting of the X-wing out of the swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm Peter Parker. You can see my hair. Like that. I have a better camera than both of you guys this time.
Oh, you think so?
The only time.
So yeah, that's a no-brainer out of these two movies. Empire on top.
Yeah, I mean, for everything Kevin said and Brandon said, all the themes, I mean, they are so iconic. Everything, rightfully so, because it's an iconic movie in the pantheon of cinema, and the music is a large part of that. All the themes, I mean, it's banger after banger after banger on this one, and it's really, really incredible. Even, I mean, when we're in going through Cloud City and all of that, I mean, it's just it's just so ethereal, and just like it really just fills out the universe so well. This one is going to stay at number one, I think, for quite some time on this list until we get going. Maybe we'll see. But so right now, Empire Strikes Back, and then A New Hope. So let's move on to
other stuff that you can't mention, like the dun 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 when he's hanging on the underside of Cloud City, like the underscore, like it's just freaking. And I love the high flute as it's panning down to Hoth, which is not in all of them. It's actually why I love The Last Jedi, because it reinstituted that a little bit. So yeah, it's number one for now.
Return of the Jedi. Brandon, I'm gonna go to you first on this one.
Off the top of my head, because I definitely did not do any homework.
All three of us did not, but I did think
That's
about
the way.
them.
Music is guttural, and it's instinct anyway.
I don't know if I could think of any like major themes. I mean, I get the Emperor's theme, right, which is like pretty sick.
Yeah,
but is that enough for me to put it over Empire?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
Does Yub Nub count in this? Because that's it's not canon.
It's if you like it enough.
I mean, the celebration song I think is better anyway. It's a better
I remember I told you this in the retrospective. I think I was part of the Return of the Jedi one. I know I missed a couple of them, but I would have back then in the special edition era, because they had just announced the prequels. I was like, it's just weird that this is an oddly like heroic theme. It's not a theme from anywhere earlier in the trilogy. Like, I'm like, this is Anakin's theme. We're gonna hear Anakin when little boy Anakin comes up. You're gonna hear da na 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 na, like very with a flute or something. Way wrong. I mean, I was so convinced I would have put, if I owned a house at the time, I would have put my house on it. But yeah, that celebration music's good. Ewok theme's good. It's a trap. Dun 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 dun. Again, another banger. These are all like we're gonna say banger a lot. Like, what are we?
Oh yeah.
What is this? What are we at? Power 106 FM, dude. And look at a banger coming on.
John Williams Radio.
Yeah. So
that's got to be a Sirius XM channel out there. I mean, it's got to be. Come on.
Theme, I was never really that like. It gives me the feels like when I heard it again in The Last Jedi. I was never really that big into the Luke and Leia theme. Like, it's like cool brotherly. John Williams is brilliant at making it like in the friend zone, though. It's not a love theme. It's like a like a familiar familia theme. I just think the reuse of like the Force theme at the end with the campfire. I mean,
my gosh.
he's making freaking
s'mores
over his dad's corpse or empty.
Always thinking with your stomach.
and like the repronouncement of the Force theme again, and like the back and forth when Vader's looking at his son, and then the Emperor and his son again, and then the dun, 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 and like again goosebumps. Music is like one of the most powerful things for me, so I'm gonna have goosebumps throughout the episode. I would put it above a new, like I want to give A New Hope like that that they were there first bump, obviously, but I've done that with all these other lists. So
Yes.
I would listen to the Return of the Jedi soundtrack before I would listen to a New Hope soundtrack. Sometimes you got to put in your head, you're on an airplane, you only have one back. It's 1997, you only have one CD with the right. So Return of the Jedi, I would go ESB, Return of the Jedi, then A New Hope in this trilogy order.
Yes, I would agree with that order as well. Is that what you're doing, Brandon? Empire, Return, A New Hope, or you put in? Okay,
I think I would do the same. Just
yeah. I will also say real quick on Return of the Jedi. In the beginning of the movie, the beginning opening sequence with Jabba's palace and the sail barge. I mean, the music there is
also found.
Yes, Jedi Rocks is what I'm talking about, Brandon. You're right, Jedi Rocks.
I reuse that same exact track in a KOTOR episode 1.
Oh, I mean, it's one of my favorite pieces. Bump. Or how does it go? I can hear in my head.
Have you seen the Family Guy where it's just the dun 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 and it keeps cutting to shots? But
yes, it's going big.
Yeah, for like 35 seconds.
Yeah, it's great. But like that whole and just like the ensuing music after that, just the whole sequence. I mean, it gives it that that serial Buck Rogers feel. And it's so iconic. And then one of my favorite pieces also is when they're going through the second Death Star. The music in that thing. I mean, whew. And then they reuse it in The Last Jedi as well, and that gives me, talking about goosebumps, man. That one, it give me a fist bump for that one. But I would go Empire, Return of the Jedi, and A New Hope in that order for this trilogy. If you want to hear us talk about all of those movies, we do have a playlist where we talk about every single Skywalker Saga movie. So you can hit the playlist, check those out. Let's move on.
The first and best one, which I think we agree, one of our best episodes was the Phantom Menace one, which is my segue into the Phantom Menace. What do you guys think of the Phantom Menace?
Man, let me tell you something. Because I was at the right age where the Phantom Menace is coming out. I've already been listening and watching the original trilogy all my childhood at this point. Now I'm like 12, 13 years old, and the Phantom Menace, it's just, again, further, accelerated my fandom for Star Wars, especially with a new movie coming out, all the tie-ins, the Burger Kings, the Taco Bells, the magazines, the Pepsi cans, like the fervor around Phantom Menace. And then the soundtrack, Duel of the Fates, I mean, set the world on fire. It set me on fire. I was obsessed with this track. And not to mention, the rest of the soundtrack is incredible as well. I had and I think I talked about this in our Phantom Menace episode, and I think you guys too, or one of you did. I had the special edition Darth Maul blue cover edition of Star Wars, the Phantom Menace, and it's basically the entire movie score in order. So you could get you could buy the original tracks, the 1 through 20, whatever. But it was literally
everything.
It was everything straight through.
Yeah, I use that in KOTOR. Most of the KOTOR movie has all of that. So.
It's great. And so this one is going to go pretty high for me. I'm going to put it at, amongst these 4 right now that we have, number 2. I'll put it below Empire. Brandon.
Oh yeah,
Brandon. How do you feel about the Phantom Menace?
So I feel like, in general, each trilogy introduces a lot of great stuff. Obviously with Phantom Menace, you Duel of the Fates. You get the Trade Federation theme is pretty good too.
Yeah.
The Imperial theme light.
That's a good point.
Guided Imperial theme. It's scary, but not as scary because there's right. Roger.
Let's see.
I think you guys you're missing one big point here. Why it needs to go at the very bottom, but
we'll get very bottom.
Oh yeah.
It didn't have the celebration theme for little Anakin.
No, but that's fun. It's at the bottom because I'm driving down from San Diego to LA just to see family. Have my I got the CD because remember they released it before the movie. I was all excited.
Qui-Gon's funeral or Qui-Gon's end. Of course,
banger after banger on the 5 South or on the 5 North, dude. Anakin's theme, wow, you could hear the Vader theme hidden in it, great. Even this End Celebration theme, you could hear Emperor's theme in it. I caught that right away. I knew that he was up to something because I had read an article where he was hiding themes within. Flag Parade is freaking fantastic. Duel of the Fates. I remember the first time hearing it, and in my head I was like trying to think, what is that going to be? And I remember like thinking from the trailer, like maybe this is like when they're like, oh, we haven't much time, when they're trying to escape out of Naboo. In my head I was like, that's where it's going to go. We had no idea it would be during the duel. But here's why it's last place, dude.
Okay.
Because track number freaking 10 or whatever it was, where it said Qui-Gon's Noble End.
Yeah.
That is why this goes very bottom. What were they thinking? I remember reading it. I was not that big a deal about spoilers, to be honest. I mean, frick, I knew most of. I was reading excerpts from the novel before Revenge of the Sith, but which the novel's way different when he when Anakin enters the room and he steps over Kit Fisto's head that's still smiling. Like that's in the novel, by the way. Anyways, but back to Phantom Menace. I'm joking. It shouldn't go last place. I would though put it. Anakin's theme's great, but they kind of abandon it and they go with the Lost Stars later.
Across the Stars.
They do kind of, they bring it back a little when he's like, oh, I remember this Japar snippet, but they really, Anakin's theme, I guess, because eventually he turns into Vader anyway. I just thought that his theme musically, they were just going to keep doing subtle, like kind of how I thought they were going to slowly make Palpatine look older and older, which they did. Like in Attack of the Clones, he was purple almost. I think it's like he went to the spa between 2 and 3.
To use Obi-Wan's reference, you overdid it.
They overdid it. So I would still put it below Return of the Jedi. It's above A New Hope. I mean, I feel bad. A New Hope's just going to get pushed down, to be honest. But I would put it below Return of the Jedi. So I will give the tiebreaker to Brandon. And I've said this before. It's not a hill for me to die on. I understand why Frank puts it right under Empire, but for me, I would like the Return of the Jedi music kind of still gives me more of the feels than
sure.
And Duel of the Fates is great and iconic, obviously, but I think maybe it was just overused in every video game and every commercial, like you were saying, like you heard it all the time, where it's like
it had a music video on VH1 and MTV. I mean, come on.
So that desensitized me. So for my personal list, I would have it under Return of the Jedi, but I'm totally fine with whatever Brandon decides. Although Brandon, remember,
the Force will be with you always.
Yeah. If you want wings from me, you know what? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Brandon want wingy. I think I do actually agree with Kevin about putting it below Return of the Jedi.
Okay, it's fine. That's fine. Okay, Empire, Return, Phantom, New Hope.
How's that feel, Bray? Hey, how those apples feel, Frank? Huh? How those apples feel? Huh?
Delicious. Attack.
By the way, it's like 1A, 2B, 2A. Like these are all great. Like
yes,
there's only a couple.
We're splitting hairs here. Yeah.
So I don't know how we're gonna get through these next ones, dude.
Well, I think you have a special connection to Attack of the Clones soundtrack.
Yeah.
Unlike. It's different from probably most people.
Yeah, I'll give the logline version if you want to hear the whole thing. It's in the. I wasn't in the Attack of the Clones retrospective because I missed out on Sean's.
You told this story at some point.
You did. You told the story. I clipped it. It's actually on our. It's on our YouTube Shorts, Reels, and.
I basically I found a news group and I found someone had leaked it before it was ever available to the public. And I was doing a short film, which was a sci-fi movie in film school. And so I scored it with the Attack of the Clones soundtrack. And then we played it for our whole school, like in a packed out movie theater. And afterwards, like the professor was like, where did you get that music? It's like really good. And I didn't tell anyone. I eventually replaced it because in order to go to festivals.
Yeah.
I let people hear Attack of the Clones, the Across the Stars theme. Like 3 weeks before they saw it in the theaters.
Do you have the original cut of that with the music?
I do.
I want to watch it with.
You want to watch the original? Okay.
Yeah.
My main man Joey, Padawan Collector, he has the originals.
Oh, cool.
I'll find it with the theme. I don't know. I think the one on YouTube might be the one. I don't think I have. I'll have to check it. I'll send you a link if so. But
yeah. I just would love to hear how you integrated it on
Across the Stars. Fantastic.
Yes. Also had a music video as well.
Yeah, it had a music video, and that was a great love theme. It sounded really classic and like that. It was sweeping. It reminded me of the Clash of the Titans score too, with the harpsichord, and Clash of the Titans. The old Clash of the Titans love theme was great too.
Okay.
I remember texting you guys trying to like send you like comparisons, and you guys weren't seeing it as much as I was. But yeah, Yoda and the younglings is there. Like, I mean, going through it now, I mean, it kind of hangs on on Across the Stars mostly. So because again, I didn't do any research. So as I'm speaking out loud about it, as much as I love Across the Stars, that's also in Revenge of the Sith score. So I would right now preliminarily, like, it goes even under A New Hope. Still a great soundtrack. I use more of soundtrack from Attack of the Clones than KOTOR, or in KOTOR, than I did in A New Hope, to be honest.
Okay.
But in terms of just overall influence and everything, I'm trying to think what other new scores new themes were introduced. There weren't really. It was just Across the Stars, right?
Not really a whole lot there going on. Even like the pseudo Imperial March with the clones and all of that, like that's a little
yeah.
It's good, but it's no Imperial March. I mean, how could you top that?
Chase but like Coruscant's good, it's iconic, but yeah, I go below right now for purposes of my camera battery. No, we're good. It goes under A New Hope for me.
Yeah, Brandon, what say you?
The chase on Coruscant that was also used in Chamber of Secrets, right?
Yeah, it literally was.
Right?
New franchise.
He was like, "This is so good, I got to use it again."
He took a page out of Kevin's book. He's like, "I could put this in another movie."
Oh man!
Yeah,
he saw the Syndicate. Was like, you know what?
That theme was used in. Actually, I didn't use that in Syndicate, but.
Oh my God.
All right, Brian, where are you going to rank this amongst the four we have?
Oh man, I think, yeah, like you guys have it on the bottom.
I'm going to put it on the bottom.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. It's not that it's bad, but it's...
No, and like honestly, kind of like one of the more I guess head scratchers is that during like the final duels, with Dooku and all that. Wasn't like the music in that sequence. I don't think there is that much, and really not super memorable the way most of the Star Wars films end. Yeah. The sequels in the original, or the prequels in the original trilogy. So for that reason, I also do put it at currently number 5 on the list. So let's move on to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Brandon, tell me where you're going to put it on this list so far.
Well, this one gives us Duel of the Fates again, and not just in some weird speeder bike through the desert sequence.
That's
but
right.
Actually,
that's right. Yeah.
In a battle.
Totally stealing that, by the way, in KOTOR Convergence. For any fans.
Amazing.
There's a speeder bike moment in KOTOR Convergence.
Hell yeah.
I don't think I'm putting that. That theme's not in it, but we're never mind. Continue.
Okay.
But we also get Battle of the Heroes, which is pretty up there in terms of overall Star Wars themes. So, yeah, Revenge of the Sith is just pretty solid. I would put it somewhere around Return of the Jedi. I don't know above or below it yet. You guys gotta tell me.
Okay. Okay. So here's my take on Revenge of the Sith. This is like one of the soundtracks of all soundtracks that I can listen to straight through. Like, just I don't go hunting for a track. I just hit play and let that thing run. Just like the original released CD. The 1 through 15, whatever tracks it is. Hit play, let it go. Incredible. Padme's ruminations was like, that was such a different feel and tone for a Star Wars movie at the time. Like, I had never heard anything like that in Star Wars, like music-wise.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's the one track. Like, I agree with you. You press play, but every time Padme's ruminations, next.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I love it. Kevin, I love that track. I love that track. I love this soundtrack so much that I am going to put it at number 2 below Empire.
Kevin's even staring out the window just like Padme.
Oh my god, I found a looping Anakin video where it's just Anakin gets up, goes to the window, then it cuts to the shot of the city, then it cuts to him again crying, turning around, then it like goes down and it sits down and it's just him, and it's supposed to be relaxing. It's like a lo-fi video, but it gives me anxiety because it's just Anakin just nonstop getting up, looking out the window, looking at the city, sitting back down, and like lo-fi music. But look, going back now, that track's fine. It's number 2 for me as well, and it's close to. I think that I would listen to either or, when you're talking about like listening to it as a. I mean, I don't even know. I can't even talk. Revenge of the Sith is what I use so much music on in my KOTOR movies too. You do have the only thing. It's like George Lucas always is like, oh, from the beginning I knew that Luke and Leia were brother and sister. No, you didn't, bro, because they kissed. And like I remember, there's footage or an interview that stated when George Lucas heard John Williams' Duel of the Fates, George Lucas shook his hand and said, "Congratulations, you just scored the Anakin versus Obi-Wan theme in Episode 3 as well." Which then he went back on and he didn't. Which thank God, because we got Battle of the
Heroes. Is
I like Battle of the Heroes actually better than I do.
I think I would agree with that actually.
Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates pops up in there too, which is great.
Yeah.
And some of
because thematically it does make a lot lot of sense to
alternate
insert
tracks where it's less choral and it's more of the instruments. It's really cool, which you can track down. And I mean, reusing Qui-Gon's Noble End music again is great. And they didn't name the track Padme's fucking funeral, which is fantastic. So
Padme's demise, they didn't put that in there. They didn't put 2. Padme dies of a broken heart at childbirth. They didn't put that.
Yeah, they don't have that. Yeah. I'm just in my head. I'm trying to race through, and like the battle of over Coruscant is scored brilliantly as well.
There's a moment when Anakin is first on Mustafar, and the horns come in, dun, 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 like that one. That one is.
That became the theme in my KOTOR movies. When every movie at the last act always has that song, but they have a couple variations of it. But it was always that song for a big reveal or a twist or whatever.
God, it's so good.
And Harry Potter's theme pops up in here again. Grievous's theme is dun 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 dun. It's the only theme I actually don't care for too much is the Grievous theme. But sure, you can't hit 1,000 home runs. Or about 1,000. This is like 1A and 1B to me, to be honest. Empire and Revenge of the Sith. But if we were to put it in a ranking right now, I would put it under Empire, but above Return of the Jedi. And I think the divide between that and the others is like way higher.
So as it stands, we have Empire Strikes Back number 1,
and You Were My Brother, Anakin. That music, the Order 66 music, like
oh yeah, I mean, like I said,
you play every track on that CD except Padme's Ruminations, and you'll be fine.
That's incredible that you have that tape.
You just want Anakin to turn around and be like, "Dude," and like if there was like a satire, and it turns around and Anakin turns around and just looks, and there's like a girl like singing. Shut up! I'm trying to ruminate over here. That's why Anakin turned bad. It's because some chick was singing in his ear.
That's why he's crying. So we have Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Attack of the Clones. That rounds out the 6 George Lucas movies.
It's a solid order there, and it's well represented. It's kind of ping. It literally ping pong back and forth. OTPT, OTPT, OTPT. Wow.
And yeah, the sequel trilogy.
Oh, by the way, I feel like we're remiss before we get to the sequel trilogy. The source music too. Source music meaning music that's like played inside the universe. Can't forget about Cantina theme for A New Hope.
My gosh, yes.
Forgot about that. I feel remiss about that.
Yeah.
Which is why it could, for me, go above Phantom Menace because that I forgot about that iconic one. And then you got the sail barge music, like that one, dude. That was never
Return of the Jedi and New Hope.
that was never released anywhere, and I tracked it down, and it's going to be in KOTOR Convergence. I'm very excited about it. Like that, ding, 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 like when they're flying over. It's never been released. It's only like I found a YouTube video
really?
where they used the 5.1 sound and were able to take out as much of the atmosphere as they could. I'll send you a link to that with the Syndicate.
That's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, you have that source music, and then Attack of the Clones also deserves the bottom spot because you go into that club at the Outlander or whatever, and like there's no music.
Yeah,
like you have an opportunity to like, create a new iconic in-source, in-universe music, and they didn't have that. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to like the Cantina music and
totally
Java Sail Barge music.
The Force Awakens.
No. Release order, buddy. Clone Wars.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Clone Wars.
2008.
I can't even remember.
That's why I mean it should go like I just want a complete list because I want Solo and Rogue One in there. I believe it would go on the bottom too. And by the way, if Kevin Kiner's entire score for Rebels or
Clone Wars,
we're talking a different story. It's way up higher. But in terms of this movie individually, it did introduce the Ahsoka theme, which I hadn't known that it was Ahsoka's theme, and I had it in prominently in Episode 3 KOTOR movie. And now, like, there's a scene where Ahsoka's theme's in it. I'm like, I didn't know at the time. But yeah, it goes on the bottom just because, like, it never really had a shot. It's just 3 episodes that were put together like that. What say you guys? I would put it under Attack of the Clones.
At least Kevin didn't put, like, the Book of Boba Fett song with the lyrics in it in his KOTOR movie. Boba Fett. I don't remember how it goes.
Someone put the lyrics to that? Oh my god.
That's like the very last episode. Yeah. It's like the same theme song they've been playing the whole season, and it's got lyrics.
Really? How did I
Yeah, honestly.
I forget how it goes. But
so Brandon,
Obi-Wan theme too became quickly. If maybe one day we'll do late motifs or character themes because Obi-Wan's theme is way up there too. Like I'm glad that they introduced that.
So Brandon, we're gonna put Clone Wars at the bottom because I'm putting it at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about the sequels already.
Yeah, baby.
We're not at the sequels yet, guys. Come on. Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
The Phantom Menace 3D re-release.
Okay, that goes above. Oh come on, the Obi-Wan theme though. Dun, 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 dun.
Kevin, we're gonna need a copyright strike. You go any longer? Come on.
I know. So realistic.
The Force Awakens, guys. I really like this score. I like it a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude, Rey's theme. By the way, that's why they should have kept all these releases in Christmas. Rey's theme is like a Christmas jingle to me now. It's still Rey's theme, but like I just remember running on the beach in Santa Monica when I used to live there the day of the release of the movie, and it was like so close to Christmas. The Christmas trees are out, and I'm hearing the bells and the I mean, I just not to jump ahead of you, but just for conciseness and speed terms, I would put this above the Phantom Menace, right under Return of the Jedi.
So you're going to put it at number 4?
By the way, all the anti-Disney people are going to. This is where they're going to hate us and unsubscribe. But yeah, I would put it at number 4. Maybe. Nah.
Because it is a weird thing to say. I'm going to put this above A New Hope, which is like.
I know, but
really. But I mean, we're talking about John Williams. I'm putting John Williams above John Williams, and I'm putting John Williams below John. Like, so I don't feel bad in that sense. Because I'm not talking about the movie per se. You know, you can say whatever you want about the movie.
Too, they're not as that thing. If you can find before and afters, there's a couple less instruments, and it was just by design. And all 3 sequel movies do not have that like blaring with the trumpet, so that takes a hit. I would actually now that see you put Phantom Menace above A New Hope. I think we both did. That's what makes it crazy because like I don't think The Force Awakens should go below all of that, but yeah, I guess it would. The problem is, for me personally, I would put it above A New Hope, but below. No, I like the soundtrack better. I like the sequel trilogy soundtrack better than a Phantom Menace, I think too. I don't know where these ones are hard. I'm gonna say you know what though, my gut instinct does tell me as much as I love Rey's theme, I can't disrespect A New Hope that bad, and because A New Hope got put under Phantom Menace by you. that's just by proxy. I would put it under A New Hope, above Attack of the Clones, and that's no knock on it. Just
see. Well, Brandon, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I think I would put it really high. Like I'm debating in my brain.
Really
Like
high.
I love this. I love
really
this.
high. Yeah. Like I'm like, do I like in my mind like if you guys are both, let's put it number 1, I wouldn't even argue with you. So,
Wow. Okay, man.
Like
I would look. My first instinct would be below Return, above Phantom Menace. I feel like I'm doing A New Hope too dirty, but yeah, I do think that for me, listening wise, I would pop Empire in first, Sith in second, Jedi or Force Awakens in third. So 3A and 3B would be for me.
like Ray's good, Kylo Ren's theme, the Jedi steps in the finale, like that track alone is probably like my most played like Star Wars track.
Oh,
like,
it used to be my alarm setting. Ken Knapsack told me that. Shout out to Ken Knapsack from the podcast. He was like, I had Jedi Step. I think it was Jedi Step. He's the one who told me Jedi Steps because it comes in early, so it doesn't.
The sequel to Jedi Rocks, yeah.
And if you don't wake up by the time Iris Out goes in, then you have some problems. But it like slowly builds into the Iris Out and the
I think I might have done the same thing at one point.
But then I stopped because you associate alarm clocks to waking up, and I would hear it in the movie, and be like, oh, I feel like I need to
wake up.
I gotta disassociate. So by the way, if you wanted to put it way higher, I would. I'm just for the record, when the record books are it's under A New Hope for me, just for the record books. But I agree with you guys. I think it should be like top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think I'll say I'd put it number 2, like under Empire. I think and hear me out.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Not only do I love the music on its own merits, I think the fact that John Williams was able to come back and write a whole bunch of new original music that, like, instead of just like, he could have just like taken everything he did in the original trilogy and just rehashed it, but he like made original music that was not only really good on its own merits, but it also still felt like Star Wars and it felt like it belonged in the universe. And like, I know he's John Williams, but at the same time, like, it's still hard to do that. So I think I give a lot of credit to this particular soundtrack for those reasons.
So I'm kind of like in the middle, basically, between you two.
That's
like
good. That's probably where it needs to be.
Because I'm debating whether or not actually to put it above or below Phantom Menace. I don't know that I can put it above Episode 1. So I guess I'm leaning a little bit more towards Kevin's side. But man, I'm really torn about putting it at number 4 or number 6.
Well, who's the math major here? Let's do it this way. Okay, I'm going to submit to you that it needs to go. He wants it at number 2.
Yeah.
I want it at number 5.
No, you want it at number 6.
At number 4. No, you want it at number 5. You don't want Phantom Menace above it. I want it above Phantom Menace. So I want it at 4.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I would listen to The Force Awakens before I would listen to The Phantom Menace.
Okay. I think maybe I'll agree with that.
But I'm saying if we do the math, if he has it at number 2,
yeah, I
have it at number 4, and you have it at number 5. What's 2 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 3?
It's like
4.
Somewhere like
plus 5. It's like
4-3 range.
It's like somewhere between 3 and 4.
So it would go, because Brandon skewed it so high. It would
go so okay, I'll agree to put it above
Frank.
No. I'll agree to put it above the Phantom Menace.
Wow. You sure?
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Because a lot of my attachment to Episode 1, which, by the way, attachment is forbidden, a lot of it's like nostalgia, and so I'm trying to remove that, but because I do have a lot of reverence for Force Awakens, and I love Episode 1's soundtrack. So, okay, it would go Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith,
You're gonna get Harry here in a second.
or yeah, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, then The Force Awakens, then
Yep.
Phantom Menace, then A New Hope, then Attack of the Clones, and then Clone Wars. Okay.
Now I've a real wrinkle into this, man. Well, no,
Oh,
I don't
boy.
know. Unfortunately, no. Rogue One's the next one.
Yeah.
Release date. Rogue One. I listened at the gym yesterday on loop. Your Father Would Be Proud, and the
Okay.
Vader Holloway thing, and then there's a sketch. It's basically the Hope and Jyn Erso suite. So good, right? Like it. This is tough because now you're introducing non-John Williams over it, and so
Yeah.
this score
This is
very
Giacchino,
good,
right?
as is Solo, but the score with Rogue One just takes a massive hit for me because I think we all were like, why aren't you playing Vader's theme on Mustafar?
Also, like reportedly, he only had like 2 weeks to put this thing together. Apparently, or it was a very short time frame. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was like only like a few weeks.
Well, then you think
like,
he would just have been like, all right, well, this part's easy. I'll just put the fucking Empire.
like Alexander just flopped and tapped out.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon.
I don't
You're
really
right, Brandon.
like the. I think it's also because Krennic is so like kind of bumbling anyway, and where are the girls? Who's the girls? Sorry, that's dark.
Girl in here.
But it just sounds bumbling. Like just listening to it yesterday. That's when I was listening to that score when I texted you, like, oh, we should do the top scores. And it would be way higher if we ever get into tracks. Your Father Would Be Proud would be way up there. That montage.
Tracks would be a
I
crazy
watched
episode
it
to
with
do.
my wife, and I didn't realize that logging in a year of Andor would make that scene so powerful. The last that we've seen, the earliest of his life, and to see his final moments with that music. I don't know if you've seen Rogue One yet. Since you've seen Andor, it is a different experience, let me tell you. And I can't even imagine after 2 seasons of Andor.
That's me.
So it would go higher if they, and it's just saying bullshit with the Obi-Wan composer saying Anakin he wasn't Vader yet. Well, his Vader's theme played in both Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So don't tell me that it's not Vader's theme. You just wanted to have your own ego and have your own theme. That's why I rescored it. You wanted to have your own Vader theme before Vader. He had his theme. It was played in canonical order earlier in time. It should have been in the Obi-Wan theme. I digress. Rogue One suffers for that. It goes under Attack of the Clones, above the Clone Wars.
I would agree with that as well. It's what sucks because I really love Rogue One. Shout out to Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards is the man. I've been on a huge the creator kick as of late, watching the movie, watching a lot of docs and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Holy hell!
Is the Vader theme in the creator at least?
You know what? In one of the behind the scenes things I watched, or one of the conversations he had, he briefly talks about lighting the Vader scene and stuff like that. But anyways, by the way, the creator is a great movie. Go see
Excited
it.
to watch it.
So yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, Kevin, because like there just isn't really so much that sticks out to me that it's like super memorable or really evokes. I mean, the movie is so great; it stands on its own because of like the action and kind of the story they're telling. But I would think I would have to give it a little bit more a closer listen. But at this time, I'm just gonna have to kind of by default put it below Attack of the Clones. I don't even know. I mean, it's kind of weird to assume I would just put it above Clone Wars as the movie as well because I haven't listened to their tracks, in the same consistency or frequency. Brandon, what are you gonna say here?
I actually love this score. Like Kevin said, Your Father Will Be Proud, the Jyn Erso and Hope suite, and I would also like to add the Guardian of the Wills track as well.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like Attack of Across the Stars, though.
Yeah, a little bit. It's really good. That's like I think I got like really into like a score and soundtrack kick with like the first few Disney era movies. I just think it's all really well done. But I'll dock at some points for like not having the Imperial March. Don't know why that is. Like the theme they replaced it with is not bad, but you do like it would be nice to have some.
Just for all the super nerds out there, we know that it's hidden in the the hallway scene. If you play it fast, it's his theme. But we're just talking when you're showing Mustafar and the fucking castle. Then
this is the height.
That, just do dun 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 dun, like the whatever, not that song.
And I think that's where Kevin Kiner really succeeds in like a lot of his newer stuff, which is just like he takes the John Williams themes that you know and love, and then like he lets them shine, but he also adds his own creative flair to it. Whereas like Michael Giacchino is like one of like my top 3 favorite composers, and I think the music he composed for this movie is fantastic. But you are missing some of that, and I will also dock it because when at the very end of the movie when Leia goes like, "Oh, hope," and then it cuts to the credits and you finally get like that part is not on the soundtrack. You can't listen to that part. Yeah. I want to listen to that part.
I can mix it for you, pal.
Can I throw out this question real quick about the Imperial March theme? If you watch these movies in chronological order, do you want to hear the Imperial March the first time you hear the Imperial March in chronological order? Do you want to hear it in Rogue One, or do you want to hear it in Empire Strikes Back?
You don't hear it the first time in any of those. You hear it in fucking Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So
well, I guess.
And yeah,
but you know what I mean, like the true
Vader's theme is that's just a byproduct of it was made before the theme was created. But like,
sure.
I've seen fan edits where like you hear Vader's theme when he enters the Tantive 4 in A New Hope, and it's pretty cool. So ideally, I wouldn't have wanted to hear it in Attack of the Clones, but you do. I would have. You want to hear it when he turns into Vader, when he's Vader with the eyes. That's when you hear Vader's theme. For the first time, that's when it should be. I don't necessarily think he needed it. It's kind of like the Emperor's theme and then Vader's theme when he's talking about the women and children. But dude, he snapped and he murdered an entire family. But he wasn't Darth Vader at that time, so you could have hints of it like you had it in his theme. But like, you hear full pronouncements of it in Revenge of the Sith, which is, and I'm only very strong about that because of the Obi-Wan composer trying that bullshit that like, he wasn't Vader yet. I will say, but massive props to Giacchino as well. Mm-hmm. He's the first non-Star Wars, besides Kevin Kiner, of course, but the first like in a theatrical setting that wasn't like a repurposed cartoon or TV show. Because again, Clone Wars was originally just 3 episodes that he was like, cash grab, let's combine these 3 into a movie. But the first like hired composer for a theatrical live action film, and he did great. So
but it's going to sit below Attack of the Clones at this point.
Yeah.
So
I'd put it above or below that. Whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, I wouldn't mind putting it above Attack of the Clones, but I just think because Across the Stars is such a memorable
There's another movie that'll go above Across the Stars, dude.
And I will say, I think that like last, like the Star Wars theme at the end credits isn't in the soundtrack because I don't think Giacchino composed that at all. Like I don't even think he I think they literally just copy and pasted it from another movie.
You might be right.
I don't think he recorded it at all, even though obviously he so.
Well,
I know what you're saying.
In my 3 KOTOR movies, and I didn't take it at all. It's really easy to. I have it. I have the end of well, no, that's
Kevin. Do you actually have like soundtracks like that you've used for all your KOTOR movies?
Oh yeah,
like releasable, like
Convergence right now, as I'm building it, like has completely like untouched soundtrack, which is taken directly from the. I think I've sent you a couple of them, but I save them, and for a lot of the KOTOR movies, I still have the timeline, so I could completely export just music only. It would be very interesting.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I end the Iron Man 3 theme is kind of the pseudo Revan theme at the end of episode 3, and I have that lead into the fucking Iris Out theme.
I'd be curious to hear your scores isolated.
But yeah, props to Michael Giacchino on that one.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. We have a few more left here. That's going to be The Last Jedi.
I've heard of this one.
Brandon, where are you going to rank it, buddy? Where are you going to put it on the list?
I should have shown this in the last Force Awakens, but I'm showing it now. Well, it does have the porgs actually.
Yeah,
so
it's the
Last
porg,
Jedi. Oh, stupid! I don't even know my own favorite movies. Come on.
Underrated.
You're just a
banger of
shill,
the
Brandon.
soundtrack, so you can remember is Rose Tico's theme is so great. It's very Last Crusade-ish.
Ooh,
Everybody
yeah.
hated that character and they hated Canto Bight, so it gets a lot of hate. But because they have a heroic pronouncement of that when they're like racing on the Fathiers or whatever. That's an underrated track. But continue,
Yeah.
Brandon.
I also really love this score. I'd put it like somewhere up there with the Force Awakens, honestly.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Yeah.
What's memorable from it, though? Tell us what's memorable.
Well, honestly, like a lot of the memorable there is a lot of memorable stuff that is like repurposed music from other movies, like Yoda's theme when he's talking to Luke, and when like Rey swoops in with the
On Crate.
Falcon on Crate, and she's like, "Oh, I like this," and they're going through the caverns. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. One of my favorite
Dark-
sequences. Yeah.
Dark
so
Tours
good.
homage there.
So there's a lot of like really well like repurposed old stuff, but then also you get like Luke like walking out on Crate. I forget the name of that track, where it's like din 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 din.
Yeah.
It's like that is such like a badass, like that is exactly the music I wanted to hear in that moment. That is like when you're in the theater watching that for the first time, you're like, holy crap.
What part?
When Luke is walking
Confronts
out,
the First Order.
confronts the First Order on Crate, and there's like the flames all around him from like the blown up door, and it's like so cool, dude. It's like, oh my god, this is like what happens when I play with my action figures. Oh my god. So yeah, I really love that. And there's another great original one I just had in my mind, outside of Rose Tico, which I agree is really good as well. And also the score, just the whole opening act of the movie, the battle over Dakar, like everything with like Paige Tico is like, that's so beautifully done. And but what was I gonna say? There was another one.
My knock on it is
come back to me.
The last two of the sequel trilogy. They don't really establish and blaze any new trails. In fact, the Rise of Skywalker is almost like, and he even said it's a love letter to like all of the scores. Mm-hmm. Like when Poe's talking to that chick, Carrie Russell. Like that's a theme from like Attack of the Clones. Like he purposely did that as like an homage to all of it. As far as The Last Jedi goes, like it's kind of like I'm feeling the same way I felt where I was like, dude, like it had Rose Tico's theme, how I said Attack of the Clones. Oh, it had Across the Stars. And then I'm trying to think of like, well, what else does it really have? It doesn't. The last two of the sequel trilogy, they don't really establish that many new tracks. There's that heroic theme in the Rise of Skywalker. Like, yeah. But again, I think that's why these are kind of, they fall pretty low for me. Unfortunately, The Force Awakens did great by introducing Rey's theme, but like aside from Rose Tico's theme, Snoke didn't have a theme, really. Did he? He had just like the you know what it is? It's that girl from Ruminations.
Yeah, she came back.
And smoked too many cigarettes. And so I'm gonna, not to hijack you, just because I know we're running short on time, I would put this below Rogue One, above the Clone Wars. And by the way, it's great, and I know I keep referencing KOTOR stuff to it. This is how uneventful that this score and The Rise of Skywalker is. I keep trying to look. I'm using tracks from these movies because there's great Star Wars filler music in it for convergence. But I have to keep talking to my team like, did I use this? Like, I can't remember if I've used this in any of our episodes of like our recent stuff, right? Because a lot of it's great filler. It's, and what I did with KOTOR themes is have new themes that were the main themes and interweave it with Star Wars themes to make it feel like it's a Star Wars score, right? That's why the love themes from Gods and Generals, but when it's interwoven with nondescript Star Wars themes, not Yoda's theme because Yoda's not in it, but other Star Wars themes, it works. Though these two soundtracks are a treasure trove for that. But as far as memorableness, like they're great. They're great, but they're not like iconic. They didn't establish new themes. It doesn't hold a candle to Empire, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, even The Force Awakens. Like, so
Yeah.
I would put it low.
I was gonna say also, I remember the name of that track. I think it's called "The Spark" when he walks.
Oh
out.
yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Yes.
And then there's the track like almost like right after that when he's like, I think it might be called "The Last Jedi," where he's like giving that speech to Kylo Ren. He's like, "The rebellion is reborn today.
Yeah,
the war has only begun, and I will not be the last Jedi."
And-
The score that
and his
plays over
death.
that.
his death too
Yeah.
with the sunset is actually really good. The Force theme, the Force iteration of that is very good, which then they revisit again in the Rise of Skywalker.
So
I would put it if we want to just real quick do both these back to back. I want to hear your thoughts too, Frank. But I think because they're so tied together, because the Rise of Skywalker really doesn't introduce.
Man, I was really looking forward to Rise of Skywalker soundtrack, and I was disappointed. It's in terms of like it's the last movie, you know, like ooh, but it didn't really do it for me in terms of last movie. In terms of John Williams, solid work, obviously, but I think also you got to play to what the movie's given you as a composer, and and I think for that reason it kind of suffers a little bit.
It does have the Yoda theme again when he rises the X-wing out of the thing.
Sure.
But again, it's like a rehash. It's literally a best of. Which is no knock on it. It's just it's
just the way the movie was constructed. It was just kind of. But so but in terms of Last Jedi, I do enjoy the soundtrack a lot. I listened to the music version only. I like that part. I like that version of Last Jedi when it first came out. When you have it on Blu-ray, I think you can do that on Disney Plus as well. So I would actually, and I could not put this one over A New Hope, but I would put it below A New Hope, but above Attack of the Clones.
okay.
Yeah. So Kevin, where you put in Last Jedi?
I would put it above Rogue One, but below Attack of the Clones.
Okay, and then Brandon, you're pretty high on it, huh?
Yeah, but I wouldn't complain.
You're in the upper atmosphere.
I wouldn't complain about either of those spots. I'm just ready to roast the Rise of Skywalker. Actually, I want to defend some of it.
Okay.
Wait, so above Attack of the Clones, below A New Hope.
Yeah. Okay. Let's put it above Attack of the Clones, below New Hope.
And before we get to Solo, let's just since we're on a roll with the Rise of Skywalker, and I know I just spoke about it mostly, so I don't need to say much. I'll just say it's a very good soundtrack. It's one of those that it's actually really good to just listen to, and you listen to it as a score. But again, it's so immemorable that like I had submitted something to use in the new KOTOR movie, and then someone told me we've already used it. Like so, it's a lot of just nondescript Star Wars music. It would be like if you had, and again, it's just no knock on it. But again, it was like the best hits. It even has the Death Star high strings Vader theme when she's walking in the remnants of the Death Star. It's made for that. You can't really establish new themes after you have 9 movies, right? So it's like this is just the finale to it. So by proxy, I think it just suffers from that. So I would put it below Rogue One, above Clone Wars.
I would agree with that. I might put it above Rogue One, but Brandon, what do you think?
So like Kevin said, that the new theme, like the friendship theme or whatever, the like Rey, Poe, Finn theme is really strong and it's unique. It stands out from all the other like themes.
Which one? Which theme is that?
The like one with the like friendship theme between like Rey, Poe, and
is that
Finn.
That
Yeah, something like that. I can't really sing it off the top of my head, but I know it when I hear it. So that's good, and I do like how they utilize like the main Star Wars theme in the movie, like not just in the crawl. During the when all the ships show up on Exegol.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think that was like a really strong use of that. I just wish I just wish the scene itself was more emotionally impactful because there's no build up.
Because you just watched Portals with Endgame like a year prior. Like,
or even like it's very similar to like when like Radis shows up to Scarif in Rogue One, but there's actual build up to that because you get scenes before that of them going like, "Oh, we're not going to go. Oh,
here we go.
Denying your request. We're not going to unify. The alliance is actually going to disband."
He's starting to
Here we go.
And then all of a sudden there's
the Hollywood part coming out of him.
Radis. They're like, "Oh, he's gone, sir. He's gone to Scarif," and they're like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" It was built up.
He's Michael Scott in the Office. Oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah, that was R2D2 and 3PO. It's happening. Oh my God. And I also just wish like there was like more like greatest hits from like the prequel era in particular. there was like one TV spot that utilized Duel of the Fates.
Yeah,
like,
what a
Duel of
tease!
the Fates is in the movie, and then it wasn't.
And it was not. Oh man,
Just
man.
put it in.
Send me that link. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was
Put it
super
in
hyped
the
on that.
movie.
I was like, oh yeah. And then I was waiting for it in the movie. I'm like, where are they gonna put it? Where are they gonna put it? Are they gonna do
That
it
would
now?
have gotten a huge pop in the theater if all of a sudden.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dun, 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 you know, but yeah.
Would have worked against with Kylo and Rey versus Emperor. It would have Palpatine would have worked. Would have worked.
It's your dueling fates, dude.
Ex-
Fates are up for grabs, guy.
So yeah, I'd put it like you said, like somewhere like around Rogue One. I kind of
Okay,
like
well-
Rogue One. But,
Do you want to put it above or below Rogue One, Brandon?
Misa don't know.
Okay,
Below.
well, you have to figure
Give
it
the
out.
Michael Giacchino pop, like the credit.
All right, below Rogue One.
Okay, we're gonna put it below Rogue One
Good. Everything is transpiring according to my design.
and Solo. Kevin, I know you're a big fan of Solo.
Dude,
Uh,
it's easy. Like now that like I used to tweet about it, like easily top 3 for me. I don't know. Now that I see it all, I don't know if it's top top 5. It's a but for me. It's a dude. I'm sorry. I know it does. It doesn't have, but it does have Duel of the Fates actually. When fucking homeboy.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it
That's
does.
right.
dude. It's so fucking good and adventurous, and I know it's like it's against type with like, it's just like I don't know, man. There's 2 versions of it. It's like the dun 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 when he's doing something great, and then there's like the Palmer version. He has like 2 themes, and it's so good. And just as a score, Frank, when you listen to it from top to bottom, like as a listening device, not as serving the story or whatever, it's really good. When he's like, "I'm not going to call you that," and there's this music that they play, which I just put that in my KOTOR movie recently.
Look at that.
It's
Can
just
someone
hard.
can someone in the
Can't
comments?
go above A New Hope, but to me, it can. I think it could go above The Last Jedi because it introduced and I know everybody's just gonna because there's the anti-Disney people and people hate that movie, but take the movie out and just they gave a theme to Han that really encompassed Han, and that's really hard to do. And John Williams did that. John Murphy did the rest, but John Williams did the score for the Adventures of Han. And dun 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 when you first see it and he's riding and you see the dice and he's going, and then the Akasi Storm chase, that music, putting the asteroid music back in from Empire, again some of the greatest hits, but it's done in such a way. It is a great soundtrack. I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna go high on it, knowing it will probably go low, but I want to just skew the numbers hopefully so it doesn't get too near the bottom. I would put it for me, man, it can't go below or above A New Hope. So above Last Jedi, below A New Hope.
Kevin, I agree.
Wow.
I agree with that. I agree with that placement. I really do enjoy this soundtrack. It actually took me by surprise how much I enjoyed the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it has a very great adventure feel to it. And it just really worked. It worked for me. I was like, damn, I didn't expect to like it more than Rogue One as part of like the standalone movies, but I was like, I definitely like this better than Rogue One. And it's I will say I don't easily put it above Last Jedi. I think it just barely ekes it out for me above Last Jedi, but definitely still below A New Hope, but above Last Jedi, barely.
This makes me want to do. I'm going to do a combined playlist for us. I'll send it to you guys because, like, just looking at this list, like, just if I were like, I have to pick like 2 songs from each soundtrack, you'd have like a solid 25, 26 tracks.
That'd be fun to put together. Yeah.
I'll see what I can put. See what
Brandon,
I can do.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
It's a good soundtrack, and the movie has grown on me a lot over the years.
So good.
I think when I saw it in theaters, it was just like a weird experience. Like nobody was into it when I watched it, and
it was a weird experience.
on
You're
me.
right about that.
So
It was
fun.
very
My
weird.
favorite Was way into it.
Like literally, like Darth Maul showed up on screen, and like nobody even made a noise. And I'm like, I'm freaking out in my chair, and I'm like, do you guys like see this?
You know, funny story. When I saw it in the theaters, I mixed up my timeline, and I was like, "Oh yeah, of course!" Like my brain farted. I was like, "Well, yeah, of course he's there. He hasn't been killed by Obi-Wan yet." Like, and then like 10 seconds later, I'm like, "Wait a second, no, wait, what? Oh yeah, the cartoon."
Yeah.
But yeah, so the movie itself underrated. That John Hoey, he's onto something. Yeah, I'd have to give the score a re-listen, I think. So I'll give the voting to you guys. I think you have it in like roughly the correct place. I don't know if I would like shift it like up or down a spot.
Yeah, that country, that cowboy sounding one too. The na 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 na. So good.
Yeah, I'll give it. I'll give it points for its like originality, because I think there's a lot of like new stuff in there that's fun.
Totally.
And do you imagine the balls on someone saying like, "Oh, you need to do a theme for Han Solo now. Like we're doing a Han Solo movie." No one asked for a Han Solo movie. I get that. So props that they were able to scrounge together something special.
Yeah, and I think they should if Lawrence Kasdan has ideas for Star Wars movies, they should listen to him, because he also contributed obviously to Empire and Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and this, and I think those are all bangers. So
there you go.
Bangers! He said bangers. It one more time.
Bangers!
How many times did you say bangers?
Actually, I was going to say, someone in the comments put down how many times they heard Kevin reference KOTOR in this episode. I think it's a record amount.
Reference the music without referencing my KOTOR movies, because, to be honest, half the reason I did it was because I always wanted to score my own Star Wars movie. Okay. And like when I realized I can do it with a video game, and I could just replace the video game soundtrack, which is fine, but I could replace it and do my own builds and rises and score to it. It's literally, I'm surprised I didn't mention it more, to be honest, because it's pretty much the reason I did those KOTOR movies in the first place. My favorite thing in editing, what I do for work, is the music and sound design. So yeah, this is a fun one to do.
All right,
one of the best themes eventually.
Kevin, what's your opinion on these chicken wings? Well, if you've seen my movies,
actually, in there in the cantina,
you guys have it, so it doesn't matter.
Kevin, you know that's not true. All right, here's the list. At number 11, that's right, yeah, number 11, Clone Wars. Then above that, Wait, did we miss one?
There's 12 movies.
There's 12. Yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, my bad. 12. Why did I? There we go.
Coming in at number 12, you have the Clone Wars. At number 11, you have the Rise of Skywalker. Number 10, you got Rogue One. Number 9, Attack of the Clones. Number 8, The Last Jedi. Number 7, Solo, A Star Wars Story. Then we get into the Holy Grail. It's funny as we get to the top 6. Number 6, A New Hope. Takes a bit of a dip. I think a lot of people would have it higher, but A New Hope at number 6. The Phantom Menace at number 5. Number 4, The Force Awakens. Number 3, Return of the Jedi, rounding at the top 2. We have Revenge of the Sith at number 2. And Empire Strikes Back takes home the crown at number 1, best soundtrack, according to these 3 scoundrels. Back to you in the studio, Frank.
Thanks, correspondent Kevin, out in the field, in the high-rise city of San Diego. That's been this episode of Scoundrels, Inc. I'm Frank. That was Kevin. That was Brandon. We're back here every week on the YouTube, on the podcast feed. Yeah, will Kevin have a proper microphone next episode? Tune in to find out next week, where we talk about, I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll see you next week.
Bye to Estonia, Philippines, Uganda, and all the other countries that have been discovering us lately.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.